Welcome back to the Universal Open Rocket League Midwest Regional in Chicago. Taking a look at our updated bracket right now, presented by American Sail, because we are into the semifinals for two of the teams. We know that DAPG and Enix are moving on to the semifinals to compete for that spot in the grand finals. Two more quarterfinals left to go, of course, as we have Splyce versus Amethyst coming up next, and Hype Gaming versus Runaway. But the 4-seed Team Splyce, featuring Karma and Pluto, getting ready to take on Amethyst right now. And look out, everyone. Karma has her mind set on a spot in the grand finals.
I think that anything less than finishing and getting a spot in California would be a disappointment, just because of how determined we are and how we know we can perform. So hopefully that doesn't come off as arrogant. But whatever, whatever.
Okay, so you guys said right away at the very beginning, we're probably going to see DAPG versus Splyce. We hear a very confident Splyce, or at least Karma saying like, hey, if I'm not in the finals, then none of this was even worth it. Is this going to be a pretty easy match for them? Do you think they got their work cut out for them? How easily should Splyce win this or not?
You know what I like is that we have both Garagy and Karma in this tournament, and these are both players who are super, super confident in their ability, but they're scared to be like
too humble.
Yeah, they're both like, oh, I don't want to smack talk too much and stuff like that. So I think they have an excellent chance here. Amethyst is made up of other bubble players. Again, RVP, a player that everybody in the community is very familiar with. He's been around for a long time, but has always struggled to really get into that top 8 spot to get into the limelight here. So I think that it'll be a good match, but I think Splyce has got this one pretty cleanly.
Okay, all right. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at our teams as well, as Splyce is going to be up first. And as we mentioned before, we think that they're a good pick to move on into the grand finals. We'll see if we get an upset here from Amethyst. But we'll take a look at the two players right there. Of course, we have Pluto, 21 years old, from Indiana, won the very first Rocket League Chicago 2v2 LAN. So if there's anyone who has some 2v2 experience, I guess it's this guy right here. He's already had some experience there. And of course, we have Jamie Bickford, otherwise known as Karma. She's 24 years old, from Boston, Massachusetts. She is former a Hearthstone pro, which is right after my own heart. I only have about 20,000 games of Hearthstone played or so, so not too bad. And of course, played in the RLCS Rocket League Season 2 Championship. Let's go ahead and take a look also at our second team. That, of course, is going to be Amethyst, going up against the pro players from Splyce right here. They certainly have their work cut out for them, but with beautiful poses like that, I don't see how they can lose. But God. Oh. All right, so anyway, on their team, we have RVP, as we mentioned before. Sean is 25 years old, hails from Michigan. Man after my own heart, mac and cheese. Of course, as soon as I arrived in Chicago, my sister treated me to literal mac and cheese pizza. So thank you for clogging my artery, Chicago. Then we also have Krios as well, 20 years old. Chase comes from Alexandria, Minnesota, of course. And he says that if he wins the entire grand finals, this is what I was talking about before, he's going to pay off a car. So that seems to make a little more sense for him. I don't know. Anyway, guys, it is the second semifinal coming up, or third quarterfinal coming up here, though. So, you know, we heard a little bit from Wave before. Quinn, I'd like your perspective on this match as well. What do you got?
All right, I know all these players, RVP and Krios, both players that try to push into the competitive scene. I mentioned earlier, bubble players. These are like the definition of bubble players. Karma and Pluto. Pluto's actually a former teammate of mine. He's a great player. Mechanically, expect him to be very, very fast, with especially defensively oriented. Karma has recently made her breakthrough into the competitive scene. She's a fantastic player. I think this is going to be like a 2-1 type of scoreline, or a 2-1 scoreline, where we're going to see maybe it's a little more even than the past series, but Splyce is going to plumb through.
Okay, fair enough. So let's go ahead and talk about the inevitable question, though. What do we need to see from the underdogs here? What does Ambition need to do actually find a way in here against Splyce? Do they have any specific strategies, or are we bringing back the old cliche of just got to have that good mechanical play?
I think the reason that we talk about the fundamentals so much is that the 2v2 scene is significantly less developed than the 3v3 scene. This is the biggest tournament we've ever had for a 2v2 scene. You know, and you saw, you know, on Pluto's bio, he's won a lot of 2v2 tournaments. The little 2v2 tournaments that'll happen at the one-off events, you know, and kind of the LAN events that we'll see around. He goes and he plays in those a lot and he wins, so he definitely knows what he's doing here. And Karma, a fantastic player as well. I think the big key for Amethyst is ball control in enemy territory. Being able to apply pressure and being able to kind of make them make defensive mistakes. That's what they have to do right now.
Okay, well, looks like our players are going to jump into the game here momentarily, so we're going to get started. Now, of course, something that we've talked about in previous matches or previous weekends is the fact that usually there's a fairly large divide top to bottom between the skill level of who we clearly see are professional teams and maybe those that scattered down towards the bottom. This week, am I getting the right read? Seems like teams are fairly close in skill, or at least comparative to the last couple of dates that we've had here on these regionals.
I'd agree. I mean, the overall skill level in the Chicago qualifier is higher than it's been in any of the previous qualifiers. So we're going to be expecting, like I said, Splyce, my favorite, to be the #2 seed. I'm expecting them to make it to the grand finals. I think that these two teams are actually going to be more evenly matched than you might expect.
Well, let's get into this third qualifier. Splyce in the blue, Amethyst in the orange. Amethyst made up of RBV and Krios. And Karma and Pluto, their opponents on the other side. Back and forth right now as both teams feeling each other out. This one should be wide of the goal, and it'll bounce back into the box, but who gets there first? Karma's able to get the last touch and send it over to the side. But now RVP, another shot towards net. Pluto's there and plays it away. Beautiful mechanical play there from the former pro. We'll send that one up to the top. Both he and Karma teamed up for 3v3, going to try and qualify for RLCS later.
Yeah, Pluto, it's surprising to see him play this Octane, famous for sticking with the Dominus car. A flatter car has different type of hitbox, and he has never wavered from that until recently, so it's going to be interesting to see how he performs on it. Perhaps choosing a taller car to help win with 50-50s.
Hey, I mean, I switched over to Merc recently. Like, no joke. That car is big.
James Bot converted you?
Yeah, exactly. I got a blue Merc, man, and that just changed everything. Pluto sets this one up high. He's going to try and follow it himself, so he can drop it underneath. He finds the angle, the one touch he needed, and it's 1-0 Splyce.
Looks like it's working out for him. That Octane, a great touch here off the backboard. RVP misreading it right away and going back down. And Krios, I think, just didn't expect that ball to come so far out off of the top of the ceiling. When it hits that little corner, sometimes it drops straight down, sometimes it comes out a little bit. It's a difficult spot to defend.
Pluto to loft this one high into the corner. Try and set it out here for Karma. Shot towards the net, just a bit high. Pluto turns, but then thinks better of it as Krios plays it over to the side. Patho over the top of one. Karma just waiting. She'll loft it again by Pluto. Lots of time to get back, pick up boost, and get positioned on the defense.
Right, you saw Pluto trying to challenge the ball and stay challenging, just buying time for that rotation. That's huge in 2v2. We talk about it so much, and it's something that you'll see the better teams do, and already we see Pluto and Karma able to put so much pressure, just taking that right on home. Pluto!
And he picks this one up from the side here, and then what does he do with it? Krios goes to the side, and RVP and net, he just pinches it off of him, off of Krios as well, inbound. Beautiful position from Pluto, 2 goals to nothing.
And maybe that's why he switched off of a flat car to a taller car, because that ball went over the top of Krios. Oh, the fake?
Oh, Pluto plays it away. Fake kickoffs are always so comical.
Usually in 3v3 when it comes to fake kickoffs, there's a player who's kind of following close by so that if there is a fake, he can kind of touch the ball or affect him. In 2v2, you don't have that.
Oh, Karma has an opportunity here to do it. But RVP will block it away, and Krios will block the inbound shot from Pluto. Now Karma trying to buy time for Pluto to get set up again. See what's rotating. Here he'll come in. They'll keep the pressure in the orange. This is what we were saying that Amethyst needed to be able to do to Splyce if they wanted to be able to get a victory. They have to be able to keep this ball in the blue. Right now, struggling to get any semblance of an offense going. They'll get the ball out into the blue, but then it just immediately moves back into the orange. Demolition onto Krios leaves RVP stranded alone in his own half. The 50-50 works out for him mostly, and he gets the demo onto Karma. Pluto plays this one into the middle. Krios will put it over to the side. RVP comes off the wall. They're trying to make the shots happen here, but they gave a lot of space there to that open ball even after the demolition.
Yeah, I felt that he had more time and could have set up a better shot for himself.
Whew, what a save from Karma. Able to get that one away. Chris trying to drive one through. That was 2 defenders out. RVP takes a shot, and it goes wide. You got to be hurting when you finally make the defense break down and you can't put the ball in the net. RVP going to try and do it one more time, but Karma's got this one away, and they're all sorted back out and rotating again.
Right, less than half the game left, and there has been very few opportunities for them. And we see Karma and Pluto actually both double commit. Oh!
It was a bit wide. Karma's sitting in net, but the pressure finally turning up here for Amethyst. They'll drop another one through. Krios finds it. Oh, and it goes in all the way. It's a 1-goal game, Quinn.
Talking about capitalizing on boost control. We see RVP and Krios both with plenty of boost, and Karma and Pluto limited, unable to challenge the ball. So they keep the ball in the air. That's great play and beautiful vision from them to be able to spot the other team stuck in the net with no boost.
And finally, Amethyst getting on the board. And Karma's just going to make it immediately a 2-goal game again, shutting down any of the hype that RVP was trying to build there after that goal celebration.
Right, we see RVP opt for boost and doesn't quite cover the net properly. He starts positioning himself moving forward, and he needs to commit there again. No man's land. It gets caught again.
1:32 left to go in game number 1. Fake kickoff again from Splyce. Karma plays this one over to the side. Pinch across the field, RVP to follow it. Concept of the fake kickoff is you concede the strong touch where you know exactly where they're going to play it because they are touching the ball with you not touching it on the other side. And then your opponent, your teammate can pick it up immediately and move it out with ball control. Pluto to try and drop it through one more time. He's already scored once like that in the very beginning here of game 1. Does not find the net this time. Still a 2-goal game with 1 minute remaining. Is this going to be 3? Yep, it goes in. Karma finds the angle. Beautiful control.
Yeah, actually a wonderful shot here. We see RVP trying to pass to his teammate committing. He's forced to commit. There's only a minute left in the game, so I don't want to discredit them. They needed to make something happen. Unfortunately, Karma getting a piece of that ball, not letting it go without a goal.
Yeah, wonderful read off the wall. Put that one through. Now Pluto on the side. Has 2 players in the corner with him, carries it away and tries to loft it. I don't think Karma was ready for that loft. She'd already started to fall back. Now she'll be in the corner with the ball as both Krios and RVP kind of fall back, give some space. Pluto and Karma both up, but they get a very strong clear to the corner. Now Krios to try and pick it up, move it out. And this is working out surprisingly for him after that first touch was weak, but RVP, why was he stopping there?
I think he was turning around on the wall and trying to get underneath it so he could control the ball. Pluto just saying, nope, not in my house.
You can go back to the respawn queue, please. Karma to play it past RVP. Pluto on the wall. Expected that one to roll up high. And with 10 seconds remaining right now, Amethyst with their backs against the wall. I mean, this first game has been just entirely Splyce. The first 2 goals, I think the first 3 goals were all Pluto, and then Karma comes out. No, I think the first 2 were Pluto and the second 2 were Karma. They're splitting the duties here.
Yeah, both of them having a wonderful performance throughout this game, capitalizing in solo goals for each of them. We saw that wonderful double touch initially by Pluto. Yep. That was a great goal, and it's just been control, control, control. That's the name of the game right now for Splyce. They're doing an absolutely wonderful job at limiting the other team, limiting their opportunities.
Yeah, which is surprising. Amethyst actually getting 10 shots in there, or 10 registered shots, were what felt like when they had been completely dominated on the offense. 12 from Splyce on the other side. Both teams having to put up quite a bit of saves. And I felt like, though the stats looked pretty similar, it just was all Splyce this game.
Yeah, we see here the double touch from Pluto. Watch, he just takes one quick moment to read it and pushing into the opposite corner. Great. He got right around the defender for that angle of attack, and another quick passing play.
Pluto again. That probably was actually my favorite goal of the series, or of the game rather. He's able to get the 50-50 dunk, and then just also happens to position his car perfectly to put the second one in. As we are single. I didn't read it the first time. I saw he held up a sign. Trying to use the nerd power.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Okay, so something I want to ask about, though, was obviously towards the beginning of this game, this was all Splyce, but what was awesome was the fact that it didn't matter what Amethyst did, Splyce was always ready for it. Karma especially had some sick saves right at the very middle of the game there, prevented any possibility of Amethyst coming back into this and trying to make this an even game. It just seemed like they were able to capitalize on mistakes, and that's all you have to do, I guess, if you're that much better than your opponents. I mean, is that their solid strategy?
They were capitalizing on the mistakes. They had very, very strong defense. I think the key thing was that when we saw Splyce making mistakes, they were not able to capitalize.
That's exactly what I would have said. We did see an opportunity for RVP just under half the game left to go, and he missed it. The margin was only 2 goals at that point. That would have brought the game to a 1-goal margin, and that's a lot different in terms of play style. Usually the pace of a game changes completely at that moment.
Well, let's get into game number 2. Splyce with the win in the first game. Put Amethyst on match point. A win here moves them into the semifinals and knocks Amethyst out of the tournament. So Amethyst's tournament lives on the line. Needing to find some semblance of offense. This is not a good start for him as Karma's got that one up. Can she get the read? Oh, it bounces off and back out. She was expecting it to roll up. A good read, but that's one of the most difficult positions to read as the ball can do many different things. We'll stay scoreless here in the first minute, but Pluto on the wall. Trying to bait an RVP. Good read by RVP to send that one back away and back into the blue. Karma's there in the back, always rotating Always having to make sure you're not leaving yourselves bare on the defense is part of what has Splyce so strongly up here in this series.
Right. I think what we see most from Splyce on offense is they take their time. We've seen Krios and RVP kind of a little rushed, it feels like. They don't take the time to position for each other, and these are players that are capable of doing that. I mentioned before, they're bubble players, players who have been really stating their case for their entrance into the pro scene for quite a while. And a missed opportunity for a great passing play there between Karma and Pluto.
Pluto had the pass, but it was a bit stronger than Karma was expecting. Doesn't go through. 2 defenders up for that. And Pluto keeps the pressure on, but can't get the second fall 50-50. And Krios would be able to rotate this one out. Takes the shot towards net, and Karma gets back just in time to clear that one away. Pluto now set up in net to try and carry this one away. Is lofted in front of the net. Karma needs to play this one away as well, but it doesn't look like Krios was moving up anyhow. RVP another shot towards the net. Pluto playing it away once more. It's about the best offensive pressure we've seen out of Amethyst. But Karma slows it down, gets the dribble out. Now it's just RVP over the top. He'll play it to the side, but Pluto's in again. Keeps the pressure on, has them in the corners where they're going to be struggling to make any sort of strong clear. And finally, RVP sends it away. I thought Karma had that one in for sure, but he keeps it clean. We're still scoreless as we hit the 3-minute mark.
And we just see so much pressure from this Splyce offense, unable to break through. I'm right there with you, Punk. I thought that shot from Karma was definitely going to be going in, but I think this is going to be good for RVP and Krios, getting more confident in themselves and their ability to maintain a status quo without giving up goals, showing that they can hang with Splyce.
RVP trying to dribble out of his own half. Karma 50-50 punts it high. Here comes Pluto. It's just RVP in the back. I feel like this has happened a number of times where Krios moves out and he just gets easily outgamed, outplayed by Pluto, and then it's just RVP having to play defense. But here, this one goes away. Pluto sends this one out, but Karma has to play it to the side. They do so. Draw RVP onto the back wall. Now it's just Krios in the back. Pluto has Karma in support. If he can get the pass, it's across the field. Doesn't need her anyways. It'll go in, and that's Splyce on the board.
Well, a great late flick here from Pluto. I mean, just wonderful control. What a catch, and maintaining the backwards turn. He puts the ball on top of his head and positions it so that when he jumps, he carries the ball with him, turns underneath it, and uses his flip there to get additional height and power. A great play there from Pluto, especially considering Krios were off to the side, unable to defend the left side of the net.
Oh, Pluto gets a demolition onto the goalie. Karma, with respect for Amethyst, was not moving up aggressively. As if he had missed that goalie and the goalie had gotten any sort of touch, that would have been a play past Bolt and a breakaway that could have tied the game. Now Pluto picking this one up in his own half. Krios puts it back into the box. RVP's in a good spot, and Pluto misses. Can he put it through? He does. We got a tie game.
Was this a side flip here from Pluto? I'm not quite sure. We see him go up, and a great touch there from Krios to invite pressure. And the bump there. We saw that earlier in that dab cheat game. Backboard bumps are huge, just clearing out the defense. We talk in 2v2. There's no third man to save you. Bump games are huge.
I don't know how I missed that the first time. What a play there by Krios. Opening it up for RVP to score. But now RVP lofting this one. Pluto in to keep the pressure on. Karma bumps RVP out of net, and then he gets boost starved by Pluto in addition. Krios set up in net. Needs to get the clear, and he puts it back into the corner. And Splyce gives a lot of space there. They're going to back off. They want to go get boost themselves. But Pluto contests it to midfield and keeps it in the orange. Krios can't get the clear, and Karma in will drop it into the corner again. Just keeping this pressure on right now. Splyce with significantly more ball control right now. Though as this clock is counting down, we're still tied up at just 1 apiece here. So a win for Splyce sends them forward. Pluto over the side. Karma watching in net. Turns around instead, goes for the save. We'll play it to the side, which is a good play. If she had challenged Krios, he probably could have had a free shot. It would have been a much more difficult read for Karma. RVP versus Pluto. He wins the 50-50, but plays it straight into Karma's favor. She's now going to try and carry this one through, but Krios with the read. Now Pluto in to drop another one. This one's going to go high, and RVP to try and pinch it away. But just the soft shots here, time and time again, difficult to get any real pace on it. And Pluto with a whiff in the midfield. This gives ball control to Amethyst. They're going to be able to move this one into the corner. Karma in net has to make a play. She doesn't make the touch, but it goes across as RVP lurked in the midfield. Neither team right now wants to fall prey to the breakaway and to lose to a buzzer beater. I think they're both maybe okay with going into overtime here in game 2.
Right. Karma and Pluto, they have the lead in the series. It's a best of 3, so there's not really much pressure on them. They know that if they lose this game, don't force it. We still have a chance. The pressure here, on the other hand, is on Krios and RVP. And I think part of the reason we aren't seeing so much success here from Pluto and Karma, even though they have so much offensive pressure, but there are no goals, is because there's a distinct lack of passing play and lateral play in general. Just a lot of direct shots, which seem to be easier to read.
Woo, speaking of the direct shots, that one almost going in. As RVP gets back from boost just in time. Good pop by Karma. Makes it easy to reverse the direction of this one and try to dribble it out. Keeping it off the walls, not going for the clear. Doesn't want to concede ball control, now looking for Pluto. Seems he can bump Krios. He gets airborne just in time, but Pluto's in to keep the pressure on. Towards the net is Karma there. No, it comes in just a bit late, and Krios plays it away. As we've had our first overtime here of Chicago. This one goes over to the side. Next goal wins. Here's sudden death. And for Amethyst, if the next goal, they have to score or they are done. A goal from Splyce. If RVP finds it, puts it through, finds the hole in the defense, we'll go to game 3.
And one of the biggest things looking at this goal is just Karma and Pluto getting too complacent in their match. They recognized that they had better offensive pressure. It wasn't working out, so they just kind of took it slow. Unfortunately, they weren't making decisive moves and clear-cut plays to be able to score on this defense. They were recognizing how the defense was playing, but they didn't actually adapt at any point. And I think that complacency is why we see RVP and Krios come through. They gained confidence and were able to make a play.
You know, it seems like they were able to take advantage of a lot of mistakes last game, right? Yeah. This game, it felt like they kept waiting for mistakes to be made, but honestly, Amethyst didn't make too many of them. They had good ball pressure a good portion of the game. They had at least a coordinated offensive attack, it felt like, compared to game number 1. They just didn't make a lot of mistakes. I thought they played a good game.
Well, at the end there, the game, we talked about how we felt like Splyce was playing for overtime. Like, let's just get into overtime, which is not necessarily favorable for them. They, you know, that puts it to where Amethyst on any mistake at any point can win. And you saw there at the end, right by the end of regulation, Splyce gets a double demolition. Amethyst is nowhere on the field. They've completely eliminated them from play, but because it was so close to the end of the game, they're like, no, we don't want to go for it. We don't want to make a mistake. That's maybe the best moment they had to possibly get a goal, run it down the field. But instead, Pluto in the corner literally just kills the ball, lets it go into overtime.
So both of the favored teams you guys had coming into this region have now lost a game. Is this complacency? Is this the competition is better than we expected? What is it, do you think?
I think it's going to be a little bit of both. A huge part you mentioned, the level of competition here in Chicago is probably the highest overall level we have seen across any of these regionals. As far as complacency goes, I think that, Splyce really kind of slowing things down a little too much. At a certain point, they weren't challenging RVP and Krios at any point. And that's just not great when it comes to trying to force errors from your opponent.
We will see here in game number 3. I felt like it was complacency and being cold on the side of DAPG, but I think another factor for why this is going as far as that, just like you said, the competition, the teams that they are playing against are 2 of the better teams in the tournament who are not favorites to make it all the way at this point. RVP with a nice shot. Look at this midfield pass play, such a quick pass, and that gives them the lead.
And this is huge. We talk about that lateral pass and the ability to force errors. Pluto is slowly drifting backwards, and he actually boosts as he's moving into his own net and pushes him just too far, maybe inches, stopping him from saving that ball. He's going to be knocking himself for that one.
About as close as you can get while still missing. And that is Amethyst with the lead. The only other time they've had the lead this entire series was the end of last game when they got the golden goal.
And we see Karma, they're opting to go for the one-on-one play. Instead of keeping it a 2-on-1, they have the defender away from the goal. They need to utilize each other's positioning. It's important for Pluto there to move up and be somewhere useful for Karma, and for Karma to take the opportunity to recognize, okay, I'm just going to pass this to you, Pluto, it's all you.
Yeah, and on one hand, just Pluto's presence is a threat and that RVP has to think about.
Exactly.
But on the other hand, they have not been going for those pass plays, so RVP knows that Karma's going to dribble it. She has to pass to Pluto at least once to make him second guess what's going to happen. And right now they find themselves down by 1 in game number 3. If Amethyst is able to hold on to this one, they move on and beat Splyce. But Splyce, there's 3 minutes and 37 seconds left to go. Plenty of time, plenty of Rocket League to play before we are done here. Now here's some nice passing, but straight into Krios, who interrupts the passing game. Gets in the middle of him, and now out for RVP, up in the air. Pluto will play it to the side.
right? And I think this position is huge for RVP and Krios. We saw them during the break between goals after winning one more. They knew that they can do this and that they have the ability, and being able to put pressure on Pluto and Karma going up early is going to be huge for them.
Oh my goodness, RVP misses in net. This is the one that goes in. They had some great shots before this that were blocked, but then Karma, soft touch out. Pluto, not in the best position to take a shot. See that only 50 kilometers per hour, but RVP just doesn't quite have the angle on it. We got a tie game.
Right, if he wants to be faced so directly far forward, he needs to be further back in the net so that he has room to maneuver and adjust his car. Unfortunately, he opted not to go for the first touch and let Pluto shoot, and that was the big mistake of that play.
Karmasita out to Pluto. Try and fake it under RVP onto the backboard, uncontested. RVP gets a second touch off it, but that much lighter of a touch. Krios in net tries to half flip away. See if he can go get it, but Pluto's already there in front of the net. Can Karma get there in time? It's just going to roll across. They probably keep the pressure on here, but that one just barely sneaking away. I don't think Karma in any way expected to have that one just freely roll in front of the net.
Right, don't discredit Karma there. You have to position yourself for what you think is going to happen. It's all about anticipation when it comes to Rocket League, and she definitely doesn't anticipate her opponent to win.
Yeah, that's a difficult one. It's just gotta hurt too, because it's like, oh, that was a free goal lofted up to us, but it is respect for Amethyst, who just beat them in overtime. Has Karma hanging back there.
Pluto with a big missed touch there. We see RVP actually knocking the ball away from his teammate. If he had been able to put a shot on goal quickly, or at least put it towards Karma, that would have been a great goal opportunity.
Krios send this one high. Tied up at 1 apiece, past halftime here in the decisive Game 3. The winner of this game moves on. The loser knocked out. Krios takes a shot towards the net. Karma's out of rotation, wasn't able to get back in time.
This isn't Karma's fault here. We see Pluto opting to challenge the ball here. He has no reason to be up there on the wall. When he's on the wall behind the ball like that, he's always going to be pushing it off. And Pluto on the same vertical or longitudinal line.
I don't know, though, but he was in the middle of the field.
Yeah, he needs to go back to net, turn around, and rotate. He recognizes that he won't be able to
You think he would have had a better chance of blocking the shot if he'd gone back to net?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah?
I mean, we saw him hit the ball forward, and there was no follow-up there, and that would have been an easy save for Pluto in comparison to the shot that he had to make.
Karma plays this one away. That time making the save, but Amethyst right now down by 1. Or Amethyst up by 1, excuse me. Splyce down by 1. With 1:28 left to go. We're starting to run out of time here. The 1-goal margin is definitely the most manageable as you could play into the 0-second time, as long as you keep that ball in the air. But right now, you know that they don't want to have to deal with that. They don't want to have to deal with a last-minute buzzer beater just to equalize and send us to overtime. They did not handle overtime well last game. Now Karma, the 1v1. Does she use Pluto this time? Does she just continue to go for it herself? This time it goes through. Great play. Manages to pull it off by herself, and we got a tie game.
Putting her team on her back. Look at this control. She moves the ball into space, puts it on the left side of her card. That lets her totally bait Krios into a challenge. Krios has no idea that she's just going to flick that top left corner. A great play there from Karma.
You see shots of the green room again. RVP's mom waiting with bated breath, hoping to see her son pull this one off. What would be quite the upset here in Chicago. The pass one is just RVP in the back. Clear that one around. Pluto to send this one away in front of the net. Karma's there. Beautiful pass from Pluto as Splyce takes the lead.
Take a look at this touch Pluto gets once he's already on the wall. He gets underneath just with that perfect flip, and there's not enough power. When you flip early and the ball bounces on top of you, you don't get huge amounts of power to knock that pass. Instead, it lofts perfectly for Karma. Just a great job to isolate the player in the net by Pluto.
Now with 45 seconds remaining, Amethyst having to find a way to equalize. Pluto takes a shot towards the net, bit high. RVP slowing this one down, letting Krios go up and play linebacker for him. Does a good job getting in the way of Karmasita, but Pluto had demoed RVP, and they lost ball control there, but now another opportunity. Pluto keeps it in the corner. Karma moves in to try and play this one away. Krios now touching it softly. RVP rotates quickly. Look at this ball control as he's able to move it towards the net. Pluto keeping his wits about him, plays that one away with 12 seconds remaining. Amethyst, they need to get the ball back into the blue. They have to score here as RVP moves it down the field. Krios right on top of him. You don't want to see any ball chasing at this point. They have to keep this one alive, and it will touch the ground. Splyce in 3 games. They have to work for it here, but they move on to the semifinals.
Yeah, what? It's just a turn of a story. I mean, seeing them down, needing to make something happen, and Karma putting the team on her back, and then able to also get the lead with a great passing play. Just a whole team play from Pluto and Karma. I mean, whew, what a series we had.
There we have it. And we're actually going to give our Lexus player of the match, and that's going to be Karma. So for her performance there, especially in Game 3, carrying the team on her back right there, we're going to give that. We're going to give her that in just a second. But we're also going to take a look at our updated Midwest regional bracket now that we have had Splyce move on into the semifinals. Of course, the bracket presented by American Sail. We have had 3 teams that have advanced into the semifinals. We of course know that the first team that was that went up today was DAPG. They had an interesting run. It was a close match, 2-1, very similar to what we just saw here between Splyce and Amethyst. So we already know a few of our teams that are moving on. There we have it right there. As we mentioned, DAPG advancing past Mechanical Gaming 2-1. They go up against Enix in the semifinals, who defeated Ethereal 2-0. Splyce just taking the win over Amethyst 2-1. And of course, we have Hype Gaming versus Runaway next. And for our Lexus player of the game, you guys can see right there, it is of course going to be Karma for her performance there. Not only staying consistent in game number 1, I think we missed a little bit of that performance in the chaos that happened in game 2 with the upset game and everything like that, but then recovering nicely in game 3, as Quinn mentioned, putting the team on her back. And right now, we think we have Michael Jenkins is standing by with Team Splyce. Take it away, Mike.
Oh, we almost had that first big upset of the Midwest Regional, but instead, just when you guys got down, you really stepped up your level of play.
Yeah, it was definitely a slow start for us, but we definitely got it going towards the 3rd game.
Why the slow start? What happened, Karma?
Nerves for me, for sure.
Yeah?
I didn't think coming in that I would be nervous, but definitely was. It's different playing on a different computer than your home, for sure, because there's, different settings and maybe like a placebo effect that things are different, but I'm glad Pluto carried me, so.
Well, I heard you say at one point, calm down. It's the first round. So were you nervous? Were you trying to calm your team down?
No, that was when Pluto did that 360 flick. I was like, whoa, save that, dude, save that. You're sweating right now. This is only the first round.
Well, congratulations on the comeback, and we'll see you again in the next round.
All right, thank you.
Kevin?
All right, guys. Well, coming up next, it's going to be our last quarterfinal match. Cargo 85 hails from right down the street in Naperville, and he and Laz are looking to pull the upset on 2-seed Hype Gaming. We'll see if they have what it takes, and a word from Amethyst right after this. We are back in Chicago, and it's time to take a look at the updated Universal Open Rocket League Midwest Regional Bracket presented by American Sail. Def G and Enix advancing to semifinal number 1. We now know that Splyce has advanced past Amethyst 2-1 to find themselves in the semifinals. And of course, we're going to be moving to Hype Gaming versus Runaway here. But right now, we head back over to Michael to talk to a disappointed Amethyst team.
I feel bad for you guys. You were so close. It looked like you were going to pull it out there for a second. I looked over and you guys were getting so jacked up, but I know you're disappointed now.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. We're just happy to be here and be able to perform like on TV in front of thousands of people. So it sucks that we lost, but it happens.
You still have to be proud of the performance you put on.
Oh yeah, definitely. To keep up with 2 players like that and to make it such a close series, it's a huge step. It looks really nice.
The most important question I could ask is, what can Rocket League do for you guys and the ladies?
Just, you know,
Put it up.
we're single.
They got skills. They're single.
Hit us up on Twitter, DM us, whatever.
Yep. At CriosRL.
At Rocket Van Percy.
All right. Slide into their DMs. Kevin, back to you.
Michael took my slide into the DMs joke like 4 seconds before me. I'm upset about that now. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're back, and it's going to be time for our last quarterfinal here in just a second. Of course, our 2 teams are going to be Runaway and Hype. Now, Runaway, of course,